Chapter 7. What Remains Beneath. I thought it was over. The shattered mirror, the scream swallowed by the void, the burial under the oak tree, it felt final. Like closing a book and placing it back on the shelf. But grief, like ghosts, rarely obeys logic. The next morning, the fog was gone. For the first time since I arrived, sunlight spilled into every corner of the house. I opened all the windows, swept the dust from forgotten shelves, and let the wind carry away whatever it could. It felt like a cleansing. But there was still something wrong. In the hallway, beneath the old family portraits, the floorboards creaked, not with footsteps, but with memory. That night, I lit a fire in the hearth and tried to write, something I hadn't done in weeks. The words came slowly, my fingers unsure on the keys. It wasn't a story. It was a confession. I saw her. I let her in. And I sent her back. But the question remained, what if I hadn't sent the right one back? Later, as I sorted through the letters from the attic again, I found something I hadn't noticed before. A hidden envelope, slipped between 2 pages of a brittle book. It was addressed not to my grandmother, but to me. My blood ran cold. The envelope was sealed with dark wax, stamped with an unfamiliar crest, a crescent moon and a key. Inside was a note. The handwriting wasn't looping and elegant like Lillian's. It was sharp. Erratic. Evelyn. The mirror was only the beginning. She waits in the spaces between. Beneath the roots. Behind the glass. Do not trust reflections. Do not answer knocks after midnight. And whatever you do, never go into the cellar. I stared at the last line. Never go into the cellar. There was a cellar. ID forgotten. It had always been locked, the door wedged shut by a rusted bolt. My grandmother told me it was dangerous, old stairs, broken steps, nothing worth seeing. But now I knew she was hiding something. That night, I stood before the cellar door, lantern in hand, the key from the trunk trembling in my grip. And I heard it, soft, so soft I thought I imagined it. A knock. From the other side. 3 times. Just like before. I unlocked the bolt. And descended. Chapter 8. The cellar door. The stairs groaned under my weight as I descended into the cellar, each step swallowed by darkness. The air grew colder, wetter. My lantern's glow revealed walls of crumbling stone and earth, thick with moss and the smell of rot. At the base of the stairs, the cellar opened into a narrow corridor, longer than I expected. The walls were lined with old shelves holding jars filled with unidentifiable things. Some were bones. Others. I wasn't sure. I tried not to look too closely. The knocking had stopped, but something compelled me forward. I passed what must have once been a wine rack, now splintered and empty, and finally came to a small wooden door at the very back. This one was newer, smooth, solid, and marked with the same symbol I saw on the letter, a crescent moon and a key. It hadn't been built for storage. It was built to keep something in. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to leave, to seal the cellar again and forget the letter, the mirror, everything. But I couldn't. I had opened the door, figuratively and literally, and now whatever was behind it was part of my story. I pressed my palm against the symbol. The door creaked open. Beyond it lay a chamber, round and silent. The walls were covered in soot and chalk drawings, symbols, runes, and something that looked disturbingly like a summoning circle in the center of the floor. Candles had long since burned out. Dried wax clung to the floor like tears. In the circle was a mirror. Unbroken. Untouched. I stumbled backward. No. I had destroyed the only mirror in the house. I had seen it shatter, heard the scream. This one was different. Older. Tall and framed in iron, like a gate. I approached it slowly. The glass shimmered faintly, as if catching a light that wasn't there. My reflection stared back at me, but it didn't move. Not even when I did. She blinked first. I gasped. The mirror Evelyn smiled. Then mouthed something. You didn't break me. Behind her, I saw a figure, smaller, younger. Lillian. She was screaming, pounding her fists against invisible walls, her mouth open in silent agony. She hadn't escaped. I had freed the wrong girl. The mirror Evelyn reached out, her hand pressing to the glass. A crack spread beneath her palm, like a spiderweb of frost. Then another. And another. The mirror began to bleed light. I turned and ran, back through the cellar, up the stairs, slamming the door behind me. I shoved the bolt into place and pressed my back to the wood, heart hammering in my chest. Upstairs, every mirror in the house began to hum. Chapter 9, The Humming Glass. The mirrors wouldn't stop. Every surface that once held a reflection, hallway sconces, old vanities, even the metal lid of the kettle, vibrated with a soft, persistent hum. It was low, almost like a whisper trying to crawl out from the other side. I covered each mirror I could find with blankets, towels, anything, but the sound didn't stop. It only grew. Louder. Angrier. By dusk, I could hear the glass rattling in the frames. I called the town historian again. Her name was Agnes, and she was the only one who hadn't dismissed me as unstable. "There's something I didn't tell you before," she said. "About Lillian." "Please," I whispered, my voice raw from a sleepless night. "I need to know everything." Agnes hesitated. "They said she had a twin. An imaginary one, at first. That's how her mother described it. But the journals. The old ones from the town doctor. They mentioned mirror hallucinations. The girl believed her twin lived behind the glass. Claimed she would take her place one day. She wasn't wrong," I said, trembling. "She didn't imagine it." Silence stretched on the other end. "Do you have those journals?" I asked. "I'll leave them for you. At the gate." Then a pause. "Don't come into town. Don't bring her with you." The line went dead. When I went to retrieve the journals, a thick fog had returned, rolling in from the cliffs. Just like the first day. Just like the morning I saw Lillian. I read the pages by flashlight. One entry stood out. Written by the town doctor in 1912. There is a legend among the coastal Wren family that one of their bloodline was born split. 2 souls, 1 vessel. When she looked into mirrors, she saw her twin's life. Not a reflection. A parallel. But the longer she stared, the more the twin watched her back. The danger lies not in the mirror, but in the moment they want to switch. I closed the journal. It was never just about Lillian. It was about them. The mirror girls. Plural. That night, the humming stopped. The mirrors went silent. And when I checked the one in the hallway, just to be sure, it no longer showed me. The girl in the glass wore my face. My clothes. But her smile was too calm. Too still. Then she raised a finger. And pointed. Behind me. I turned slowly. The door to the cellar was wide open. Chapter 10, The Other Side. The cellar door stood open like a wound, gaping and dark. I hadn't opened it. And that terrified me. I held the lantern in one hand, the old journal in the other. My breath clouded in the air, inside the house. It was colder than it should have been. Too quiet. No birds outside. No wind. Just the hush before something breaks. I took one step toward the cellar. Then another. When I reached the top of the stairs, I heard it. Laughter. My laughter. Echoing up from the dark. I gripped the lantern tighter and descended slowly. With each step, my own voice grew louder, but distorted. Like someone was learning how to mimic me, tone by tone. At the bottom, the air felt thicker. And the mirror was waiting. It stood alone in the circle of chalk, untouched. But this time, it was glowing faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside the glass, she stood, my double. Not smiling. Not moving. Waiting. Lillian stood beside her, her eyes sunken, pale. I could see now that she wasn't meant to escape, not completely. Pieces of her had stayed behind. Fractured. Trapped. I stepped into the circle. The mirror shimmered, then cleared. My reflection stepped forward and whispered. "You opened the door. That makes it yours to close." I shook my head. "You're not me." She tilted her head. "I could be. I just need the rest of you." She pressed her hand to the glass. And this time, it cracked. A web of light burst through the frame, and I felt it, pulling. Not just physically, but deeper. Like the mirror was drawing my thoughts, my breath, my soul. I dropped the lantern. It shattered. Darkness. Then Lillian's voice. You have to finish it. Complete the circle. End the reflection. My fingers fumbled through my pocket. The chalk. I redrew the line, fast, shaky, and spoke the words from the journal aloud. I see the self. I know the other. And I deny the shadow that wears my face. The mirror girl screamed. A high, fractured sound like glass bending to break. The circle lit up. She pounded on the inside of the mirror, desperate now. Her features twisted, first mine, then Lillian's, then something else. Something old. Wrong. I stepped back and slammed the mirror with the journal. Once. Twice. The third time, it shattered. Light burst from the frame like a wave. The cellar howled. Wind. Fire. A sound like tearing fabric. Then. Silence. I woke on the cellar floor, sore and cold. The mirror was gone. Only the iron frame remained, empty. Lillian was gone, too. And for the first time, I felt peace. When I returned upstairs, the house was quiet. No more humming. No more whispers. Only my reflection in the mirror by the stairs, still, ordinary, and mine. I burned the journals. Sealed the cellar. Planted roses over the oak tree where I had buried the locket. The fog still comes sometimes. And I still hear things on certain nights. But I never look too long in the mirror. And I never answer the knocks. Not anymore.